The guys, I assume this is Luke. Luke put it out on Twitter, the statement I made that if the Warriors get bounced hard tonight, that I'll be here tomorrow to call them the Dallas Cowboys in the NBA. Yeah. And there's some people out there that are like, the hell does that mean? Let me explain if that one didn't. I know you get it.
I get it, yeah.
I don't know if that landed with everybody. The Dallas Cowboys, to me, are defined by, we can beat the Washington Commanders. We're not going to beat the 49ers. You beat all the bad teams. You lose to all the good ones. Miami Dolphins, Dallas Cowboys, Paper Tigers, good records, find your way into the playoffs. Did it solely by beating bad teams. And I think the Warriors, I don't want to say run that risk because I don't blow that off as being all bad. Part of the definition of what is good is you beat the bad. So that means you're kind of good. However, when it all comes down to one game, and it probably will, I don't want anyone to forget that now. You already ran those metrics, the numbers, looking at the rest of the schedule. It is highly likely, I will use that phrase, that the Warriors are in the play-in tournament. It is highly likely.
They went 13-4 over their last 17 and gained 3 games on the 6.
And went from the 12 to the 10.
Right.
And we're all over here being like, they could get to the 6.
And 2 of the teams that they climbed over, Utah and Houston, they went 5-10 and 4-10 over that same period, and they both have reverted to where they should be. So the Warriors are the 10 in a 10-team race. So yeah, you climbed over 2 teams, but the 2 teams you climbed over, they stink. And it's no disrespect to Houston and their plucky young core and Utah and Lauri Markkanen, who's a great player, but neither of those 2 teams is a real playa
right
in the Western Conference. So you went 13-4 and you went from 12 to 10. Okay, so now go 13-4 again, and then maybe you get from the 10 to the 8.
Right? Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's what my prediction right now would be, that the Warriors end up in the 7 or the 8, and I think that's great. However, better be a badass at home, because that's all the 7 or the 8 gets you. It gets you home. It gets you home for a win-and-in situation, and you better be awesome. You better be awesome. And those of you, I can already see you, who are all up in your feelings about putting the Warriors and Cowboys in the same sentence. I'm talking about this year.
Right.
This year.
Dallas hasn't won 4 titles in the past 10 years.
Chill. I'm talking about this year. And it does feel very similar to me. It feels very similar to me. The Warriors are good enough. They are good enough to handle the dregs of the league. They are not good enough to handle, so far, they're not good enough to handle the good teams in the NBA. And we're all over here being, well, you better watch out, Oklahoma City, because we got pedigree. You can't even win barely 1 game against a good team. And you think you're going to beat one of these teams 4 times?
4 times.
If that is in their fanny pack, I haven't seen it yet. Not saying I won't, but I haven't seen it yet, and it's why I'm kind of turned up about tonight. I'm a little turned up about tonight because I think that the scenario is there for the Warriors to get this one and to be the better team tonight. Middleton out. Giannis, don't know, but might be out. And even if he's not out, it's an Achilles, which tells me that there's a real decent chance. If that guy feels one thing, let's say he plays, if he feels one little twinge, he's out. So it could be an Embiid deal where he's like, I'm in. No, I'm not. I'm out.
Right.
They're on the road. You've had 2 days rest. You're coming off that embarrassing loss to Boston. All of those things. You're fully healthy. Wiggy is back. Like, you got to look good tonight. You have to look good tonight if you want any of us to really, and I mean really, take you seriously. Really take you seriously. You go out and perform tonight. That's all I'm saying.
Not only perform, but win. This is one where you can perform and lose by 4 or 5. To me, it doesn't matter worth a hill of beans because you need to stack wins. If you have designs on the 6, which is, I think, a bit pie in the sky, but that's their goal. Their stated goal is to get to the 6. Well, if you want to be the 6th seed, you better go 16-6 minimum the rest of the way. And even that may not be enough. And if you're going to go 16-6, then you can't afford too many home losses. You need to have a better home record. And I'm going to defend your Dallas comp with some facts before people really come at you, because nobody comes at you unless I say they can come at you.
Come at me. I don't mind you coming at me.
Here are Dallas's wins this year.
Thank you for being my big brother.
Always, brother. And I got you, except when you're out of line, and I'll be the first one to take shots at you.
Which is twice an hour.
At least. But here are Dallas's wins against quality teams this year. They went 12-5 in the regular year. They beat the Giants and the Jets, yawn. They beat the Patriots and the Chargers, not playoff teams. You beat the Rams. That's a nice win at home, off a bye. Mm-hmm. You beat the Giants again, the Panthers and the Commanders. You beat the Seahawks. You did beat Philadelphia after the Niners had broken them. That also was at home. That was the week after the Niners broke Philadelphia. And you beat Detroit by 1 in a game. Wasn't that the fluky Detroit failed to report game? It was 20-19.
Oh, gosh.
Wasn't that the Lions game where they went for 2 and then...
Yes.
So your quality wins were Detroit, thank you officials,
thank you, refs,
for the non-report.
Right.
Philadelphia, who was broken the week before.
Totally broken.
And a Rams team coming off a bye.
That's it.
End of list.
That's it.
So to say this Warrior team, and we ran down their quality wins already, and they have more games to play, and they have more wins that they've gotten. They have about the same number of comparable quality victories.
And why am I putting such importance on tonight? I said this off the top of the show. I will say it again. It's never all about one night. This is not a season-defining game. The point is, though, you have already had like 30 tries. This isn't about tonight. This is about the fact that all of these times you've had these tries and you've barely been able to do it. And when you have, there's usually some sort of a miracle kind of a feel to it. Boston in overtime. Curry-gasm against Phoenix. Embiid leaves the game. Whatever. You've had these good teams in town, and rarely have you looked up to snuff. And to me, tonight sets up to be the night. So I'd like to see it. Is the season over if they don't win? No. And I do think there's a difference between if they lose this by 2 or if they lose it by 20. But if tonight looks like what the Denver game looked like, right? They came out halfway through the second quarter. You're like, hey, they're going to beat Denver. Woo, they're going to beat Denver. Look at this performance. Gone. Denver torched them for the next 2.5 quarters. Totally outclassed them, and you could feel it. That's what I don't want tonight. Do not walk away feeling like, oh, they just couldn't. That's just like a different class of basketball. That's how I felt when they played Denver. That's certainly how we all felt when they played Boston last week.
Right. And it's how they've looked against the top 4 in either conference. And your record against the top 4 in the East and your top 4 in the West is 4-16. Think about that. You're 4-16 against the top 4 in each conference. And that includes what you've already described, where you beat Boston in overtime, which was incredible, and you were able to beat the Clippers earlier in the year. Unfortunately, against Minnesota, you're 0-2. OKC, you're 1-3 with a 141-139 unbelievable game in the play-in tournament.
2 unbelievable losses also.
Right, but you got up for that one because it was the IST, the in-season tournament. So you knew you were going to get up for that one. But
oh boy,
the proof is in the pudding in your record. You're 4-16 against the top 4 in each conference. So this is a game where, and I know you don't like measuring stick game.
No, it's not a must-win. It's not a measuring stick. It's not anything. It's just like I don't know how many months in a row we're all going to keep going. No, the Warriors, they can be good. It's like, well, at a certain point here, you've got to live up to it. Is that tonight? No, it doesn't have to be, but it kind of makes sense. And this record that everybody wants them to have over their final 22, I'd argue you better win ones like this. Like in our minds, they could win 16, maybe even 17.
Right.
Okay, go over the list. If you want to win 16 or 17, tonight you win. Tonight you win because there are at least 7 games still on the schedule harder than this one, largely because they're on the road.
Yeah, I don't know about 6 or 7, but that's a good ballpark. I look
at Minnesota,
at Dallas, at LA,
Dallas twice, at LA twice,
at Miami,
at Orlando
on the second half of a back-to-back,
right
in the association.
Yeah,
At Dallas. And then you mentioned at LA again.
Twice. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
At Dallas twice.
Well, even home to Dallas, too. I mean, you can't expect to go 3-0. If you go 2-1 in those three, you'd be thrilled with that.
Yeah,
with two of those games in Dallas.
Yeah,
so
New Orleans is coming to town. The Knicks are coming to town.
If you're going to notch a quality win, you would want it to be at home, check, off of copious rest, check, with your entire complement of players available, check. This is a game where you haven't played since Sunday, and even when you played Sunday, you didn't really play Sunday. You played a half against Boston on Sunday. Wiggins didn't play Sunday. You flew back on Sunday. It was a matinee. You had all day Monday to golf if you're Steph, and I don't know where he played, but I'm sure he played and played well. Lift, clean, and place this time of year. Tuesday,
you ain't kidding.
You get back to practice, and then now you have all Wednesday leading up to a night game. This is the way you want to lead into a big game. Rest, health, home.
I love that you called it lift, clean, in place. It's more like dig out, scrub off, clean in place. You got to find it first before you can lift it.
I played 9 holes last week at Diablo Hills.
How'd that go?
Fun. Little 9-holer. I'd never played there.
I want to go.
Right there in central Walnut Creek. They do have a par 5. I think it's a par 34.
I hate this about myself, but 9 holes is starting to become a little bit more attractive.
It's honestly, for me, Mark, 13 is the sweet spot.
I love 18. I just, like, who's got 5 hours?
And I get through like 12 or 13, honestly, and I'm like, all right, I'm good. I've about had enough, but
I'm already mad at myself. I can't believe I just said that.
It was lift cleaning place where you're almost 50.
No, it's not about that.
You're knocking on the door, 50 burger.
It's not because my body stops working. It's not that. It's just I don't like the scenario that allows 5 hours plus driving time is like, when do we get to do that? Golf, 18 holes is becoming the same as binge watching on Netflix. How you all find the time?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I watched 23 episodes in a row. What are you doing? Don't you have something to do? I wish I had that. I don't have that.
Coming up on Saturday, the clocks change. And honestly, the time that I enjoy 18 holes the most is when I do a wake and rake. And I say wake and rake because I'm in the bunker.
Wake and rake.
Wake and rake.
Rake.
Yeah.
Got it.
I'm off the lettuce. It's a wake and rake for your boy because I'm in the bunker. You get off at like 7 o'clock. You're done at 11. You still have your day.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's a wake and rake, Mark, because I'm in the bunker.
Rich and Fremont is with. Hi, Rich. What are you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for taking my call.
Rich.
I'm sitting up here trying to stay dry. Can you guys hear me?
Got you.
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, to answer your question, you trying to ask, the question was, what's wrong with the Warriors and why can't they beat teams when they need to? I think the real reason is because, they say the best reliability is availability. And I think when you look at this roster, you look at what happened this season to them, they've got a lot of guys who've just been in and out. And nothing against Andrew Wiggins. I'm sure whatever he's dealing with is a personal matter, and he has the right to keep it personal. But the team has to flow from the beginning of the season on to the end. Now, there's obviously going to be things that happen, right? There's going to be situations like Andrew Williams, people are going to get hurt, all that type of stuff. But I'm saying, when you look at them up until this point, they have had a lot of people that have been in and out. GP2 is out. Pajemski, I don't even know if he came back yet, but I think he's still out.
He's back. He'll be back. He'll be back tonight.
Oh, he's back?
Yeah. The Warriors are full go tonight, right, Grandy? No injury report. Yeah, full go, whole team.
Okay. So now, what you're going to start to see is you're going to start to see them coming together if they can stay healthy. Thanks, guys.
All right, Rich. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, by the way, that's another piece to the point I'm trying to make. These losses that we're still talking about that happened in January with no Draymond and December when Jonathan Kuminga was still watching basketball games or whatever. It's a different basketball team. One thing that the Warriors have always done really well, especially in the second half of their dynastic run, is they're really good. They're really good at angling for being at their best at the right time. I thought 2 years ago, that was the most impressive example of it I've ever seen in my life, where a team just was like, you remember they got to the playoffs and you snapped a finger and they went, okay, we're all healthy, let's play. And they played great. And you're like, yeah, you guys didn't look this good all year. This is incredible. and they won a championship.
They did start out 18-2.
They did.
Which was the cushion they needed to have some pick and pop and some rest and relaxation.
They did. But again, the way Wiggins, like the way they looked in the playoffs was a completely different animal. And obviously then that's why it was a surprise championship run. But the Warriors are very, very good at that. And if that characteristic rings true again this year, I think we can start holding them to a higher standard, kind of starting tonight. You went on the road and went 3-1. I thought that was great.
Yep.
I'm not bothered by Sunday at all. But if they're going to get a 7 or an 8, hell, a 6, if they're going to get a 6 or a 7 or an 8, and they are going to be this team that we hope them to be, which is a noisemaker in the playoffs, not a title team, a playoff noisemaker, and then see what you get. If they're going to be that, I totally think it's fair. And I bet they would say the same thing. Like, starting tonight, when you're at home, you need to be held to a higher standard. 16 and 15, that's a no from me, dog.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not good NBA basketball.
It's not winning NBA basketball, to your point. And so if you get into the 9, let's say you're the 9 or you're the 8, and you do have one home playoff game in the play-in scenario, you're not going to be expected to win if you wind up the year and you're 21-20 at home in your 41 games and you wind up as a 9 or a 10 seed with that home record. That's not going to instill confidence in anybody. But if you do rattle off over these last 10 home games, and tonight, as far as the home games go, this is probably the most difficult, depending on Giannis's availability.
Sure.
You only have 2 or 3 that are really tough at home. So why don't you wind up going 9-1 in these last 22 at home, and then go ahead and split your other games on the road?
Grandy, when do we find out? I know you when you're doing all the pregame stuff, like when do we find out if Giannis is in or out, or what's going on? What time?
I guess it kind of depends on the individual circumstances, but we might not know until after you guys are off the air.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah.
We would like that breaking news.
I mean, he was on the court at their shoot-around today, getting shots up.
I know. He was on the court at shoot-around on Monday,
Smiling,
too.
not wincing.
No, he did not wince.
Reportedly couldn't miss either today.
Yeah, well,
jeez,
don't waste all your good shots in warm-ups. That's what I used to do when I played. Oh, my God, I was good warming up. Whoo-wee! Oh, man, set records. It was incredible.
Warm-ups were my game, so I took warm-ups seriously.
Warm it up, Dibs.
Because that would be about all I would get. Yeah. I was about to.
Well, there. that was your line for when am I going in the game? You're about to.
Yeah.
Coach said that 15 times.
Although freshman year, shout out Casa Grande, we won the Sonoma County League Championship, so we'd be up 17, and I'd be doing the look down, the Lithuanian look down,
towel waiver.
We're up 52-34 with 2:10 to go.
You're like, Coach?
Seriously.
Coach.
Is it dibber time? Is it dibber time? And then, there'd be a stoppage in play, and I'd let out and he'd look down and be like, dude, there's no threes, Coach.
There is.
Coach.
Like, take it from somebody who's also, because I was one of these players that freshman and junior year, I was a bench warmer. Sophomore and senior year, I played a lot more.
Right.
So with each team, like I kind of had to go through the pay the dues type of a thing. So I've learned there is strategy to how to get put into the game. There is where you sit.
Yeah.
When you can catch the coach's eye, when you got to position yourself, and it works sometimes because if you've got a coach that's excitable. And the coach sometimes will look to sub when he gets ticked at the mistake that the person who on the floor made. I'll never forget one time it happened. And Danny Bin, I wonder if the Bin family.
Danny.
Well, I wonder. Dave Bin, his older brother, played for the Chargers. He was the long snapper for the Chargers.
I know Dave Bin. Okay.
This is his younger brother. He had 2 younger brothers, Danny and Michael. They lived right around the corner from us in Foster City. Look at me sounding like you, just bringing up names from 1,000 years ago.
I'm proud of you.
But Dan Ben was a power forward, and I was like his never-played backup. And Dan just threw the ball at someone's feet out of bounds for no reason.
Damn it.
And I positioned myself. I saw it. He threw a bad pass, and I gave a little bit of a left hip shrug, and I moved down the bench a little bit to position myself. And the coach was so mad, and he took 2 stomps, and I went, damn it! And he turned left, and I was right in front of him. And I looked at him, and I raised my eyebrows, and I leaned forward like, Coach, I'm ready.
I won't throw it away.
And he looks at me and he pauses, and you can see him go, well, this isn't going to work, but I'm pissed. So he looks at me and he goes, get in there for him. And I'm like,
Winston,
got
get in
it,
there.
coach. Ran in there and I ran around and did nothing for 4 minutes and then came back out. All right, sit down.
That's
Yeah,
perfect.
You got to position yourself. You got to be ready. Hey, Moses, get in the right position tonight. When Steve gets ticked at K-Wig,
Sure.
you got to be in the right spot. And he may get in there for him. He may give you one of those.
Mitch Moody, get in there. What's your name? I was a 12th man on a 12-man team, so I even in that scenario, there's no way.
The second 5 went in, and you were like, "What about now?"
The only time that I would get in would be when we were beating Annalee by 17, or if we were cuffing around Montgomery, or we had El Molino by the short hairs, and only then would I do the Lithuanian look down. It's like, Coach, we're up by 26. It's
now?
safe, Coach. It's safe to let me run around there and act like a moron.
Coaches never think it's safe.
Dude,
They
4'10" as a freshman. Can you just throw the redhead in there?
What are you doing on the team?
I've worked hard.
I'm sure you did.
grinder.
I'm sure. Did you dive? Were you,
Every even when the ball wasn't loose, your boy was on the floor.
One of my 12 nicknames was Floorbird. You got to get on the ground.
We practiced at 6 a.m. I was never late, and every ball that was even remotely loose, your boy was, yeah.
You were diving before the play even started.
We were running line drills and I was diving.
That's called tripping.
Fake hustle is what it's called.
That's different. We're presented by Fremont Bank, full service banking, no compromises. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm getting at. Maybe it's less about us and the way I look at it or we look at it or whatever. I just feel like this is an energetic moment for the Warriors season, and I'm sort of hoping that they look at it that way. When's the last time, and maybe the answer's never, how many times this year have we gone into a game where the Warriors are like, there's no injury report, full strength, all availability? Have there been any? Grandy, have there been any? Any.
My first thought goes to opening day, but Draymond was hurt to begin the season.
There you go. I don't know that they've had any of these. Okay? You lost by 52 the other day. The Bucks are in town. It's March. Here we go for the final. Basically, if this were a football game, this is the fourth quarter. You've played 60 games.
Yep.
Hold the 4 up. Not Clay to yell at the Suns. Hold the 4 up because it's go time. It is go time, and you are healthy. And
Number 4.
And you have had trouble in 2 spots, which is 1 against good teams and 2 at home. And so I just feel like, man, you can wipe a big old slate kind of clean if you go out and have a really good performance tonight. So I'm not like, this is no ultimatum. This is hope. And I think a win tonight would create a lot of it for everybody who follows Warrior basketball.